All right. Okay, like I said, my name is Scott. I am the lead dev on Heroes Token. We do have three other devs with us tonight, Astro, Low Voltage, and Heroes. Hey, I see you there, CryptoDB. Welcome, buddy. And hopefully we have some people funnel in here, but if not, like I said, the space is recorded. So, yeah, so how we usually run these is we have you do kind of an introduction on yourself, who you are, how you got into crypto, and what made you want to start your project. So, Bearded Bro, the floor is yours, buddy.
Hey, so I just want to say, obviously, thanks for having me on here. It's an awesome platform to speak on and be able to talk about the project. So I'm super thankful for what you guys have created and giving us an avenue to sort of speak here. I got into crypto like heavily right at the peak of the bull market. If like when ETH was like I think 4,800 bucks or something. Something crazy. And I just watched my initial investment just go downhill. But during that whole downhill time, I was like, learning about NFTs and kind of getting into it. And the project here originally started out as um, kind of just something that we wanted, me and my buddy at the time wanted to make a positive impact in the space because we saw a lot of projects that were just rug pulls. And we were like, you know what, we want to make something that's gonna be around for a while and people are gonna look at it and be like, that's cool. And then obviously, as crypto kept dropping and things ended up, having to be extended over time because, people were, I guess, expecting a quicker rebound and they were pulling out when there wasn't. It gave us more time to kind of like finalize exactly what the project was about. So, um,
Yeah,
kind
so
of, sorry, go
that's
ahead.
it. Yeah, that's interesting. So you got into crypto at the peak, and you know wanted to kind of make a difference. I've This is a very familiar story that kind of rings home. Now, I mean, we've been doing this for a little over a year, and it's one of the reasons why we do this space is because of exactly that. It seems like a lot of people come in when the market is running green, and they are not sure what they're doing, but they're afraid they're going to miss out, and that's where the FOMO sets in, and they jump in and then they get wrecked, right? But yeah, man, that's great. So why the Frosty Narwhals? You had a lot of NFT, I guess ideas out there. What made you want to choose a narwhal to focus your NFT project around?
So it kind of stems from a lot of sort of different avenues. Originally, we were just like, hey, we want to make an NFT project, and we wanted it to be different than all the other ones. So it wasn't like a profile picture NFT. Um, we probably went through like 100 artists, um, and we found one person who just made this really, really cute picture. And narwhals are, we saw the seals, and seals were done a lot. You had sappy seals, but nobody really like messed with narwhals. They weren't really a thing. And we were like, you know what? Let's just give this guy an idea and see what he does and runs with it. Um, and he took it and he ran with it, and it turned into something really awesome. But it took a long time. I mean, we have multiple pictures from in the past, like iterations that, um, you know, I'm 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 glad we made the changes we made. That's what I'm going to say. I look back on them, and it's nice having a history to go back to. But it's nice that we took the time and really fleshed out the project because we have yeah, some of the pictures from the past are a little. I'll share them eventually when the space is ready for it. But go ahead, Ace.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, when you're creating an NFT project, you have to put a little thought into it, not only the utility, but of course, it has to be something that's appealing to the masses, right? And, I think your project here has a very unique appeal to it because you don't really see any other narwhals or anything like this, out there. So that's kind of cool. I like it. So when did you guys initially do your drop?
So we haven't actually done. any sort of like drop, so to speak. We're still building up the community. We are going to be live on pre-mint on the 7th. That is like our initial sort of minting window. And I know the space is recorded, so I don't want to give away too much, but we are planning something for current Discord members that have stuck around for an extended period of time to kind of give them like a little thank you gift for sticking around because some of those guys have been in there for a little while. We've really built on the project, and it's taken a while to build on the project. We've rewritten the contract 3 times to make sure it was optimized and it was exactly what we wanted to do, and it did the functions we wanted, like the multiple use whitelist and stuff like that. So it's been a long time in the making. And I can touch on that a little bit later. I don't want to spend too much time on one topic, but um, we're planning on minting on the 17th. Will be like the sort of the whitelist pre-mint kind of mint, and then 24 hours after that will be the public mint, where we open everything up for the public. We remove the whitelist, or sorry, we call it an allow list now. We remove the cap on the amount you can own, and it's just free for all. Anybody can go after it, but we're giving our Discord members an extended period of time to mint, and then the pre-mint guys are going to get 24 hours, so they don't have to fight over gas fees and stuff like that. And then it's going to be sort of whatever's left is going to be available for everybody else. So hopefully that answered your question.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the only reason is when I popped up your website, it automatically prompted MetaMask to open and, wanting me to connect. So I thought for sure you guys were already minting. Um, but no, that's great. So we came up with this narwhal idea after several different renditions, and you have built up a Discord channel, and you're getting ready to launch here on the 17th, which is awesome because everyone in here is early. You can kind of jump in as soon as they do their drop. That's great. But I know you guys have some cool things on your roadmap. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what your milestones are going to be and when you predict or hope to hit them?
Yeah, so the website, we spent a really long time on the website, and it was, very we wanted it to obviously be clean, and the roadmap section is something we spent an extended amount of time on. We call them milestones because we didn't want to say or give like hard set times on when these were going to be achieved, because the whole point of the project is to be community based, right? So essentially, when you hold a narwhal, one of the 4,004, it will give you voting rights. It will give you one vote for the future of the project and the future of the community. So in doing that, by voting for the community, not only do you have a say in what we do, in terms of like where we donate money to, because we'll be doing monthly donations to 501c3 organizations, and other projects kind of helping clean up the oceans and, you know, educate population on beaches, clean up and stuff like that. But you're also going to be able to kind of dictate where the project goes in the future. So these milestones that we have laid out, like milestone 1, for example, which is the public sales initiated, that obviously has to come before any other because it's the public sale. But um, milestone 3, which is the Frosty Narwhals merch store release, might come before milestone 4, which is our donation to community voted projects and organizations, or it might come after. We might have that the drive from the community to really push out those voted projects and organizations first, to really say, hey, we're here and we want to make an impact, and then kind of reel it back and talk about the merch store and stuff like that. So um, we were very careful with the wording because we're leaving it up to sort of the community to help guide the project. Because at the end of the day, what I really want the project to feel like, and there's sort of a reason behind it I can talk about later, is I want everybody that has a stake in this project to feel like they're contributing directly to helping clean up the world. Um, I want everybody to feel like they're not sitting on the back burner and that they're actually actively making a difference, because a lot of these projects and problems we have in the world, especially with pollution and climate change and stuff like that, people feel like they're too big of an issue to tackle by themselves. Whereas we're trying to help bring this community together in order to feel like everybody's sort of making a difference. So that's kind of why we have those laid out as well. And again, the community can also vote to not do one of these. So if the community doesn't want a merch store, we won't push a merch store on the community. Same thing with Generation 2. If the community doesn't want Generation 2 or Generation XYZ, whatever, then we won't do that. It's totally up to what the community wants and what the community feels best is for the future of the project.
Nice. So with that, you guys are dropping on the 17th. A portion of the proceeds are going to, it sounds like, community polled charity donations. Are you going to allow the community to suggest those charitable organizations, or are you limiting it to strictly like green charity organizations, projects that are based on cleaning up the planet?
So that's been kind of a topic for debate within the sort of the, I don't want to call this leadership, but in sort of toward like in kind of the group here, is what we want to really allow the community to do. And right now, what we're leaning towards is the royalties that we collect to keep the project running. We're donating a significant portion of that. I can't disclose how much of a percent, because like legally, with some of the charities we want to donate to, if we disclose a portion of what we're doing or whatever, they can get upset with us, and there's a whole bunch of legal stuff, and it's kind of sadly a lot of red tape, which kind of sucks when you're talking about donating. But um, a lot of the royalties will be going to these like green projects, for example, as you said, that will be focused on the ocean specifically. But then, if we, for whatever reason, end up with other revenue streams, such as the merch store, or I know Discord allows people to donate within the app now. If we start getting those revenue streams, then we can set up a different sort of community vote to allow those to go elsewhere. So, say for example, um, you know, the Discord donations, the community wants them to go to like hurricane relief efforts or something. We will be totally fine with allowing that, as long as the condition is met that it's going to a 501(c)(3) charity, which means that that charity is not taking any profits at the end of the year. They're a not-for-profit charity, and they have to be vetted properly and gone through the proper systems in order to get that. So we know that the money is going to be used effectively. But anybody could be able to propose any sort of charity they want. That's the whole kind of goal behind this.
That's great. Now, I do have a question because you said something there that kind of stood out. Are you forming a partnership or any kind of binding agreement with any of these charitable organizations?
Oh, okay. So this is where legally I have to watch what I say. Because we've reached out to multiple charities, and I can't name them by name anymore because we've actually gotten a letter from one of them about it, which does suck. Um, but yes, we will be trying to reach out and directly partner with one or more of these charities for a long-term, multiple year sort of commitment. Um, and from their end, I understand why we're not allowed to name drop their name, because we haven't made anything out of our project and they want to protect their name, and not being, you know, in their eyes, they don't want it used for profit essentially when they're a non for profit. So legally, we have to watch what we say, which is why I can't, say, oh, we're going to donate, you know, 20 or 30 or 60%. Because if I say that, then I can't say their names. So it's a lot of like gray area and red tape, but we are actively looking to work with one or more charities for an extended period of time. We're talking multiple years, and forming a binding contract with them so that we can use their name and we can put their name on our website. We can say this is where the money is going and disclose the statistics without having to say, oh, we are making a donation to um, XYZ. We can instead use the words we are donating to, or this is where the money is going, because right now saying the money is going to this charity is technically off limits via their legal team. So it's a lot of red tape we're kind of having to work around here, which sadly we weren't expecting when we're just talking about donations, but that is part of the space, I guess.
Well, yeah, and you have to look at it from their eyes. I've actually had multiple meetings with one charitable organization that we did recently donate to, and yeah, I get it. They drilled me in each one of them. I probably have close to 10 hours of explaining what our project is, what we do, and how we benefit the various worldwide charities that we donate to. And they look at it as they don't understand Web3, they don't understand NFTs, they don't understand crypto. And everything that they hear about is the nonsense that well, I shouldn't say nonsense, but it's all the negative stuff that is in this space that gets out to the major media productions, and that's how they view all of us, right? So it's really up to projects like yours and ours to make that difference and stand apart from the mindset that they have on us, that the media has put on us. And yeah, so I get that, especially if you're talking about a partnership. That's a whole different level, and that's where legal comes into play. As far as donations, though, and I just know from our experience, because we are not focused on any one charitable organization, it is up to the community to decide where those funds go. We have had a organization partner in the past that didn't really work out that well. That was a 501(c), and we may have one in the future, but for right now and even in the future, if that happens, it's never going to change our standard ideal of there's enough to go around to everybody, not just one project. And I think maybe that's why we don't get, those letters when we announce, the donations that we've made after the community completes their polls. But, on the charities end, they also cannot associate themselves with anything sketchy or shady, especially with all the crap that's going on in the media right now. I mean, that's just them covering their own butts and making sure that they're steering clear of anything that could get them in trouble. So yeah, I get that. So you can't, share how much of each mint or how much of that 0.03 ETH is going to be contributed to the charity aspect of your project at all?
So because I'm not name dropping charities, I can actually. That was one of the things that I strictly asked one of the legal guys I've been talking to. Um, so initially we're looking at 25% minimum, and that's simply because OpenSeas is kind of doing this sort of, are we doing away with royalties? Are we keeping royalties? So we have to sort of plan for the future. I know that they've kind of said that they were backtracking on that, but the fact that it was in their mind to begin with makes us as a team wary. So we want to have enough money set aside to make sure that we don't fall through on our faces, because we want to run it the project properly and not fall through. So we're planning more to set aside for the future in case OpenSeas does decide to do some last minute stuff. But 25% is going to be the minimum. And then I see no reason as to why we can't go even higher. I know for like the Discord donations and the royalties, I'm expecting roughly about 80 to 90% of those to be going to donations. Um, just it's kind of off the top of my head. Obviously, prices and stuff will change as expenses grow, and times change and we add more people to the team or remove things, etc. But we're really trying to make sure it's a significant impact here, not just a one and done sort of donation. We really want to try and change the world, and we can't do that with $1,000 here and $1,000 there kind of thing. So that's how we feel about it.
No, that's great. So are you guys located in the United States? Are you located elsewhere?
So we are actually located in Florida. So I'm a member of the military, and I created this project kind of in my free time in the military when I had some downtime. I will be getting out here shortly because I had a training accident in the military, which is kind of why Frosty Narwhals has developed so much in the recent months and become such a much larger project than it initially was going to be, is because of that sort of accident and downtime I had. And I can talk about that more if you would like. But we are located in Florida and we intend to stay in Florida as well because it's really cold elsewhere in the United States. And even though the narwhals love the cold, uh, some of us don't love the cold anymore. So.
I I hear you. So yeah, I mean, if you want to, go into more detail on that, you're more than welcome to. My next question, though, was going to be, is this going to be a for-profit project, or is it strictly charity based? So, are you considering yourself a charity project, or are you going to be a for-profit NFT project that benefits charities?
So that's kind of like something that we've been really on the fence about too, because obviously, if we're going nonprofit, there's a lot of nonprofit paperwork we have to do. Whereas if we just say we're going to be like an LLC, for example, and cover our butts that way, then we don't have to do a lot of the paperwork, and we can just kind of show that we are donating because the blockchain doesn't lie. So we have that public ledger, and people can track where things are going. And we would be like, we'll be 100% transparent on that. So what it really comes down to is like legality, and how difficult it's going to be to get things up and running as like a nonprofit sort of charity. But as I said, I'm 100% committing to changing the world. So at the end of the day, all I want to be able to do is make a positive impact and allow a bunch of other people in the world to feel like they're making a positive impact as well. So if I end up walking out of this project with enough money to cover my expenses going in and I don't make a single extra dollar, then I will be perfectly happy. If the community decides to vote to give me, a little bit of a salary or whatever, then I'll be happy as well. But at the end of the day, I'm doing this because I want to make an impact and I want to have this lasting sort of positive change because the NFT space is lacking a lot of projects right now. Not necessarily in the refi community, but in general that sort of focus on things other than themselves. And I feel like um, it's something that needs to kind of change, and we want to be that facilitator of change as well.
No, that's great, and that is a conversation that you have to have with your team, and is how do you want to go about that? 501(c)(3)s do require quite a bit of paperwork, and then you are kind of held to accountable for that, right? An LLC is a little bit different, and that's what the route we went. We are actually a utility token that is a for-profit organization that benefits charity. And, we have not never lost sight of that. And that is something that we've done since day one. And, but that for us makes the most sense because when it comes right down to it, the bigger and better that we can create our project and make it and get mass adoption, the more we're going to be able to contribute to world organizations. In the last, well, a little over a year, and even before that, when I was just, trading, I've seen so many charity projects come and go, and they are strictly focused on charity alone. And you have to really balance that out and figure out how you can make and sustain a charity project, especially in the NFT space, because what you've got, unless you get that merch store up and running, what you have is you have one source of income, which is minting. And if those mints go flat or you mint out and you don't have a second collection to follow up, where do you go from there, right? So, that's some thought that you have to put into it. And it really comes down to you and your team and the direction you guys want to go. And honestly, I mean, I our goal when we entered the space with the thought of donating to charity was we wanted to not be biased to any one charity. We wanted it to be open to spread the funds as far around the world as we could go, right? We wanted to be able to let our community decide where those donations go when we're ready to make a donation. And that's what we've done. And we've been very successful with that. And the project has built utility on top of that that is going to ultimately allow us to continue to do that regardless of what the charts say, right? So, those are like some hard discussions that you guys have to have and figure that out, especially before the 17th, because you want to have some idea of the direction you're going before then.
Right, yeah, and I think you touched on all the major points, and it's the biggest thing it comes down to is, if we do go the charity route, again, like we're limiting ourselves in some regard, but obviously we're focusing on, you know, being a charity focused project essentially. I don't want to say NFT project because that carries a lot of flack these days using those three letters. But at the end of the day, we're focusing directly on making sure that we can save the world because at the end of the day, if there's no world to save, there's no Web3. If there's no anything, if we let this world kind of collapse around us, and that's our main goal. So at the end of like that's essentially what we're shooting for is making sure that the project has a long lifespan without undermining our credibility, which is obviously we have the blockchain, so it's very transparent. So money comes in, everybody can see where money goes, and that's the one thing we have working for us. And I think probably why we're going to continue going the LLC route, just because it's already transparent, right? We don't have to disclose anything because it's already disclosed for everybody. Everybody's going to have our wallet address and everything like that. So it saves a lot on the paperwork and all that because I know when you go the charity route, um, filing with the government requires a lot more work and stuff too. But it's really going to be sort of what the community thinks is best as well. We're still going to be committed at the end of the day to our main focus, which is being around here for a really long time and just making sure that we make a positive impact and we educate as many people as possible in the space.
Absolutely. And you have to figure which direction that's going to be that's going to allow you to do that. Which, for, like I said, for us, it was an LLC. For you, it might be a 501c. But I've seen issues in the past with, projects that went down that route. You're essentially selling an NFT, which I don't think NFT is a bad word. I'm an art student at heart. I love being creative, and I love what NFTs bring to the world and the potential that they have. So I am not, by any means looking at NFT as being a negative. I think it's a positive, and I think they're just kind of breaking through to the surface, and what they're going to be able to do in the future is going to be just incredible. So don't be afraid to share, say NFT around me. But, with that, you're selling an NFT, and with the idea that the person that's buying it, yeah, a portion of that's going to go to the charity wallet that will get donated to a charity. But their hopes when they're acquiring that is some other means. A lot of people will look at it as, is this going to have a return on investment for me? So anytime that you're looking at a return on investment, you're not really looking at a 501c. So that cannot be claimed as a tax deduction on their taxes. So again, why we went LLC then rather than the 501c3 is because just for that reason. Now, if they donate directly to you with cash, that's a different story. Then you can, give them that receipt and they can write that off. And, that helps legitimize their donation and in the hopes that you are doing the right thing with that donation. So, no, man, I love it. So where do you want to go from here? Because I know we've covered quite a bit, and we're about 30 minutes in. And I do always open up the floor here to let anybody ask questions if they have any. Um, just request the mic and we'll bring you up. But while we're waiting on that, why don't we, is there something we missed or?
Yeah, so I'll talk about kind of the history behind Frosty Narwhals and why I'm so passionate about the project. As I said, I still am in the military, not was. It feels like I'm not anymore, but I had a military training accident earlier this year, and I ended up actually dying during it. And so when I kind of came to in the hospital, obviously the first thing I thought of was like, I want to get back out there and I want to go, kick butt and I want to go be the military man again. But um, obviously that didn't happen. And also kind of the one thing that sort of set in the coming hours was like, wow, I died and I didn't have anything like I didn't contribute anything to the world. It's what it felt like to me. And at the time, like the Frost and Narwhals project was, it was big, right? We had most of everything done. We were finishing up the website and finalizing stuff on the whitelist portion of the contract. But in the back of my mind, I was like, wow, I could have disappeared off the face of the earth and I didn't have any sort of positive impact in the world. It almost felt kind of selfish in a way. And I was like, dang. And I saw this project and I was like, you know what? Not only do I want to take the project and donate to charity, but I want to make it possible so that people who feel like they haven't made a positive impact in the world can. They can do it with us and through us. And they can feel like they're contributing with an entire community of people as well. Because as I said, like when we were talking with a lot of people in the space, some of these projects are not projects, some of the problems we have in the world just feel too big for one person to do. Like you can recycle your trash, but at the end of the day, you're saving 10 plastic bottles and there's 10,000 plastic bottles going into the ocean every day, for example. That's not an actual word like quote, but whereas if you bring like a community of people together and you have 1,000 people and they're all saving 10 bottles a day, well, now you're saving 10,000 bottles a day. And theoretically, if there's 10,000 going to the ocean, you're making an impact and you're doing it together. Um, and so that's really where like the Frosty Narwhals project took off. That's what it was kind of, I would say it shifted gears from being solely we're going to donate just to, um, offset our carbon costs and help charities and make a difference there to we're going to allow everybody that holds one of these to feel the same way, like they're making a difference. Because I don't want anybody to ever feel like what I did when I was still in the hospital laying there feeling like I didn't make a contribution in the world because it sucks. Um, and I don't want that. I don't want anybody to ever feel like they didn't make a difference. So that's why we cut the price down on these significantly. They were originally point zero 0.07, and I cut the price down to point 0.3 because I was like, you know what, I want these to be as affordable as possible. We'll figure out another way to do it, but I want everybody who wants one to feel like they can afford one. Um, and that was part of the reason it came from that sort of bout in the hospital while I was in there for 5 days, kind of just chilling, thinking about life. So I wanted to kind of touch on that.
Yeah, dude, that's pretty powerful stuff right there. And you make an awesome point. And I've always been under the mindset that you have to change yourself first. So if you want to make a difference in the world, you have to make the difference in your own life. And then that will spread to your family around you and your friends, and then your circle of influence, your community, and possibly expand beyond that, right? But if you are unwilling to make that change of your own and do that first and set the example, then there's no reason why anyone else should follow you. So, that is key for anybody, that wants to make a difference in the world. You got to start with yourself, and then others will see the change that you're making if it's a good change, they'll want to be more like you and they'll follow in your footsteps. And that's really what will make the difference for you. But man, that is super powerful. Now, man, the, that is rough. I don't have any kind of stories that can even closely relate to being deceased for a period of time and then being brought back. But you make a great point because a lot of people get to that point in their life where they're faced with critical illness and they look at their life and what they've done and they don't have anything to show for it. You're in a position where you had that early on and you've seen that light and now you're looking to make that difference. So that's awesome, man. Kudos for you. And I also want to, I saw Jessica popped in here. If you're not familiar, Jessica is one of the project leads, possibly a dev of McFly's. So shout out to McFly's. They have a charity project as well, and NFTs. So, always sharing all the good projects in this space. So thanks for joining, Jessica. But anyway, I'm sorry, back to you, Bearded Bro. Uh, yeah, so what else do you want to share with us?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, that's obviously the kind of the starting point. I don't mean to be like a Debbie Downer. I always feel bad when I tell the story because it's just like it's such a kind of a sad story in a way, and I don't ever want to, make people feel sad or feel like any sort of way. I want everybody to be happy because, they're it's the project and they're having fun out there, and we're making a difference. But I do want to say that we do have a bunch of really cool stuff kind of we're working in the back scenes right now, and I'm going to drop a little bit of that right now, even though it's obviously still up for community debate. So the community could shut down entities at any time. But I'm talking with people about getting a book made, for example, and the focus of the book being like it's using plastics from the ocean for the pages and all that. So we're kind of recycling there. We think that'd be super duper cool to have our name on that and educating younger kids, because that's really how we change the world is through education. We can clean up all the trash that we want, but if we're still dumping all the trash in the ocean, it's not going to make a difference. At the end of the day, we're fighting an uphill battle there. So that's kind of one of the things we're working on. We're working on I'm talking with our dev guys about creating some reward programs for people that go out and sort of participate in these cleanup community sort of events. So not necessarily just ocean cleanup events, but rewarding people that go out and help kind of clean up the environment because not everybody lives next to an ocean, obviously. So that's kind of something that we've been talking about as well. And then just kind of like if we do have the store, I know that there are some clothing companies that use recycled plastic, and that's one of the things we are going to focus on as well, is using those recycled plastics in the store. Obviously, again, community can shoot any of this down at any time, so we're not promising anything here because it has to still go up for vote. But as you can see, we're very focused on making sure that what we do is sustainable, um, and we're not contributing to the problem with it. So that's kind of something else I wanted to touch on too. And the sort of the reward system, obviously it needs a lot more work and it's still kind of in its infant stages. But if it is implemented, we're planning on making that accessible to everybody, as I said. So not just ocean cleanup stuff, but having a way for people to log what they're doing in their community to make a difference, whether it be cleaning up sort of a road that's full of trash or like a park or if people want to kind of transfer it and make it so that like volunteering at like a soup kitchen, for example, that's helping sort of clean up the community in a way, not necessarily clean it up, but it's helping your community, which makes a difference as well. We just want to be able to give back to people because volunteering, while it's rewarding, it's also time consuming and not everybody has the time available to volunteer all the time to make a difference because they're working a lot of jobs or money's tight and they have to work. So we want to be able to kind of help people out. And also, $5 to us in the United States isn't a significant amount these days, but $5 to somebody elsewhere in the world is a huge amount of money. And so if they spend a day cleaning up trash on the beach and they have a way to verify that they did it and they receive $5, that could be a week's worth of pay for somebody over there. So while it might not have a huge impact for us here, it might have a huge impact for the rest of the world. And eventually, as more and more people sort of get together and realize the potential, we're hoping that that kind of leads into education as well. They kind of teach each other what to do, and we have more and more people kind of following suit because at the end of the day, what makes a difference here isn't the same as what makes a difference elsewhere, and vice versa. And we all know that while the United States contributes to um, kind of ocean pollution, we're not the number one leading cause. We're not even number two or number three. There's a lot of other countries in the world that contribute a lot more, but we really think it comes to an education issue, not necessarily um, much else. Education or poverty is the big one that contributes to it. So that's kind of the things we have on the back burner. But again, I can't promise any of that because the community gets the final say on that, which is what I love about the project too. So.
So my next question, and it's the only thing that I really didn't see, is are you going to have a white paper, light paper, some kind of a document stating your intentions of your project? So for anybody looking to buy an NFT, a Frosty Narwhal, they can read into it and see that there's some kind of a business model in place, whether it is a 501c or it is a LLC, or it is neither and it's just a DeFi project. But there still needs to be some kind of a business model in place. And I understand the community aspect of it and having them vote on that. But are you going to provide something along that line before the 17th?
Yeah, so we're working on one right now. Obviously, we have a lot of things we're kind of making work and kind of last minute, kind of not necessarily putting together, but we're as the project grew, we're having to reach out to more and more people. We didn't necessarily have as much time as we would have liked because again, the project kind of grew from earlier this year, so it wasn't set in stone. It still kind of continues to grow. Um, so that is one thing I'm currently working on is getting that sort of, in essence, business plan laid out, and sort of a roadmap for the future for the project and what we plan on doing. We're working with the legal team sort of on that, in terms of what we can and can't say as far as donations and then where money will come and where money will go. I can say we did get the smart contract audited. That was done. Much earlier this year, 5/17/22, just to verify that that was good. And we'll be posting that as well if anybody wants it. That'll be up in the Discord as a PDF file, just for a peace of mind for anybody, because obviously smart contracts these days, everybody's kind of like, I don't know. So um, obviously, with it prompting you for MetaMask on the website, we want you to feel that it's safe. So that's something we're really proud of. But yes, we are planning on having sort of this plan in place for the future. It's just it. There's a couple moving parts, especially being in the military. We're trying to decide if we want to base in Florida or we want to base up near Washington D.C. in like Maryland, Virginia, the Delmarva area, because that's where majority of our founders are from, and that's probably where I'll go to live when I get out of the military as well. That would make it easier, kind of to do all the paperwork. But again, we're kind of having to to figure that out with the LLC part as well. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, yeah, no, and that's like I said, that's one of the things I saw missing on your website, and it up until that point, it sounded like you're relying a lot on the community to make the big decisions. And as much as you want the community to be involved, they have to have some kind of guidance or idea of what your goals are. Because, you and the rest of your team, you are setting out on this goal of making the world a better place. And that has to be written somewhere so that people that find value in that can come in and help, with deciding where what the project should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing, and things of that nature. But yeah, man, if you move up to DC, you should hit me up. I'm not too far from DC.
Oh, that's awesome. I definitely I'll have to take you up on that if I ever move up there. Some of our team is up there currently, so I'll definitely have to reach out to you. And again, like the white paper and stuff, like that's a pretty recent realization that we were going to need because we wanted to have the community so involved, and we kind of just wanted to have it so we would almost like guide the community in a way, but we didn't want it to feel forced. But now with all the recent sort of plans that we have long term, and obviously if we want to partner with some of these charities, we have to have that business plan in place. And so that's something we're currently tracking on now. We weren't really focusing on it as a even about a month ago, but within the past month, with so much stuff in terms of like recent developments with charities and what we plan on working with, and having to be this sort of LLC versus a charity ourselves to donate to some of these charities because they won't let you donate if you're not incorporated or a business of some sort. That all really came to light within the past about a month and a half for us, as we really started to solidify everything. So that white paper business plan, it is coming. It's just the moving parts, really kicked into high gear in the past month. But we didn't want to keep kicking the can down the road either, because we have a bunch of people in our Discord that have been with us for so long. We don't want to be like, oh, we'll push it off to next year or whatever, because it didn't feel fair to the people that have been with us to continue to kind of say, oh, we got to actually work on this instead or work on this instead, because we feel like that devalues people's trust in us, and we're continuing to sort of kick the can down the road. So we're working on a bunch of stuff at one time, and we're really focusing hard on making sure it all looks good too, and it works well, and it's not poor quality that we're putting out. Because at the end of the day, we're not a project that's willing to put out poor quality. We're not going to sacrifice any quality for time or speed, essentially. So there's a lot, as I said, that's kind of happening right now.
Well, I will give you this warning. Once you guys do drop, you will find a whole nother gear because it never ends and you will keep going nonstop. And you have to actually kind of stop yourself and say, no, 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 I have to get a couple hours of sleep tonight because I haven't slept in 2 days. But no, man, I wish you the best. And, I'm looking forward to the 17th. And um, do, let's share your website is frostynarwhals.com. If anybody wants to check them out, you do have a Discord. All that can be connected to from that website. I also see your Twitter account on here, and we also tagged you in our Twitter as well and shared. But yeah, man, if you ever just need someone to talk to or reach out to or ask a question, feel free. My DMs are always open. I always make time for other good projects and project leads. So, by all means, you ever need anything, you hit me up. All right. But we're almost at about an hour. Is there anything you want to kind of share that we might have missed?
No, I think we touched on a lot. I know I shared a little bit of some fun stuff too, kind of dropped some things early, especially with the Discord and what's going on in there. So hopefully that increases your view count on YouTube as people try and rewind to figure out what I said, and maybe get a little bit of some sneak peeks in there and trying to figure out how to get ahead of the game. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna hit you up and DM you because again, I'm learning as well. Like I only, this is my first major NFT project, and with this group as well. And so we're always trying to learn and improve, and that's kind of why it's taken us as long because every time we learn something, we're like, oh, we should do that or we should implement that, because we want the project to be the absolute best possible thing that we can put out for everybody out there. And we're not going to sacrifice quality, as I said. So I will be happy to shoot you a DM and learn from you because it sounds like you guys are already 10 steps ahead of us. And we love sort of just talking about this stuff too.
Yeah, and you know what? Every project was where you are at one point in time. Every person was, that first time buyer that got in at, the wrong time in the market. We've seen so much of that. And the longer you're in the space, the more you see it and the more repetitive it gets. And that's why we do these spaces. That's why we love sharing these experiences. The experience you had might have been the same experience someone else had that just, dumped their entire bag, got out altogether, and all of a sudden they came across this, you know, uh, Twitter space and are listening to it on our YouTube channel, and they're like, "Oh, you know what? It wasn't just me," right? And they're educating themselves and learning how to properly enter this space, and be mindful of what a good project is versus what something they should probably stay away from is. But yeah, man, absolutely. Anytime you want to hit me up. And we have a great group of developers that I refer to as well. And, a bunch of them, well, there's quite a few in here. We got DB, Crypto DB runs Sonder and has been involved with a lot of other projects. He's an excellent guy, knows his stuff. Jessica, like I said, she's with another charity project, McFly's NFTs. Awesome efforts there. Yet we have not had her on live and in person yet, so we'll have to talk about that. And then you got, our team, Heroes Queen, Low Voltage, Astro Verde, all excellent at what they do, and they all have, awesome qualities. Heroes Queen is our art department, as I refer to her. Low Voltage is the mad scientist, because I don't know, he figures some crazy stuff out and gets it done. And Astro, man, he keeps the community going and puts out awesome content on social media, and is always around. So the team is fantastic. But yeah, and that's what this space should be. It should be about unifying DeFi. It should be, good projects coming together and, putting up that stronghold to show that, there is good in this space. And that's what we do with these spaces, is we share those projects. So with that, I want to thank you guys for joining us this week. And, if you ever want to come back on, hit me up. This space has become pretty popular. We're, I think, at the moment booked out through February. So, yeah, it'll be pretty exciting. And always feel free to drop in every Thursday night at 9 o'clock and join in or ask questions. If, we're always talking about something different and learning a little bit about what everyone's doing. So with that, I want to thank everyone for joining. And I'm guessing no questions because no one requested the mic. So we will, I guess, call it a night until next week. And thank everyone for joining us, and we'll see you next Thursday.